Hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman show. I am very delighted to introduce you to Karen Baker of The Professional Alternative. Karen, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. Thank you for asking me.
My absolute pleasure. And I just want to introduce you properly to my viewers. Karen and I have known each other for a number of years, but we haven't seen each other in a very long time. We actually met in Devon on it was a mediumship retreat, I think, a psychic development retreat with a lady called Hazel Lee from Psychic Today. And since then, we've been on a bit of a journey together, and you've definitely been on your own journey. But if we could go back to the beginning, what guided you into spiritual work and into healing work in the first place?
I'm one of the older crystals, so that means I wasn't really needed till about 8-9 years ago. And then they wouldn't leave me alone. So I woke up in bed and I heard this gorgeous man's voice speaking to me, and I thought, oh, where is it?
Hello, George Clooney.
But there was no one there. And I went to put the telly on, and it guided me to a psychic channel. Wow. And so I spoke to them, and they said they want you to join a circle. And so I joined too. And I thought, these are people are great, but limited the knowledge which they have. So then I went on and was trained by 4 top TV people. And then my guide said Angelic Reiki, and I thought, what's that? And as I met you on the retreat,
same way it happened for me.
Within 24 hours, up you popped. And my life has never been the same. In a very good way. It's amazing. I love the fact that it supports the Indigo children as well. But I'm getting a lot of autistic adults with autistic children coming.
Wow.
And going more into the planets. Like one woman actually said her son sees things that we don't, like in the food. And of course he comes from the planet Deneb.
Wow.
So it's I'm learning a lot about that.
So you do a lot of work with the star children, don't you? Yeah. But if we could, let's just backtrack a little bit. So for the people that don't understand the difference between an indigo, a crystal, a rainbow child, what's your take on all of that? What to you is a crystal?
Right. Crystals want to help everybody. You know, they can get on your nerves because they want to help so much. And for a crystal, it is to, when I went to Doreen Virtue up in London, and she said, crystal, stop, just stop. Because actually by trying to do so much for somebody, you're actually disempowering them. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's very true.
So it's very important to actually, if people want help, give a little bit, let them grow. A little bit, let them grow.
We can't be a rescuer.
No.
We can't wave a magic wand and make everybody better, can we?
No. So that is the faults and the blessings of the crystal. Indigos are spiritual warriors, and we have new batches of them who will stand up to authority. I met a young boy, and he was 11, and he was standing up to the teachers because he knew he was right, and it doesn't matter what age, what thing, they are our spiritual warriors.
It's like that girl, isn't it? The children coming out and speaking out against the American government and saying we're not going to have this anymore, isn't it? There's this whole new evolution of humanity going on now, isn't there? It's incredible.
The rainbows are more slightly on the autistic spectrum, and those are the ones that I've sort of guided more to at the moment. The indigos work with the indigo ray, and that, you know, it's very good for them to meditate with that particular energy. But it is an amazing journey which we're on, and then I love the space clearing which I'm doing now. Absolutely amazing. As I mentioned before, my son was going through a lot at school, and he wasn't quite himself. And I did the first level of the space clearing, and I came home, and he was actually waiting on the step for me. He flew his arms around me, and my first instinct was, because he'd been so, not himself, was, who are you and what have you done with my son? But he said, are you all right? And I said yes, and he said, are you all right? And I said, oh, I'm tired.
It's amazing, isn't it?
How changed.
And how much our environment and those energies affect us, and the more sensitive you are, the more of an effect it will have on you. So it makes sense to me that doing the space clearing would really have a positive impact
it's
on you.
amazing. And also you have chakras in the home which also need to be balanced. And even like my father, he wasn't sleeping well, and he was sleeping in the third eye room, so he was constantly going over the third and fourth dimension problems. He was constantly muttering in his sleep, but we moved him to the heart chakra of the home, and he's sleeping well, and his heart problems have gone down.
Oh, wow.
So it's really amazing what it can do for you. So yeah, and I did do one for a friend recently, and I went there, and because we work angelically as well, shamanically now, I saw it like a golden fortress. It was massive. They were putting all these symbols there. They had the Angels of Four Directions symbols there, and it was just amazing. They were hooking things out, anchoring things down. It was just amazing.
So talk to me about, because you have an amazing guide team, don't you? So for people who might not be that familiar with having these kinds of gifts, being able to see and hear and pick up on energies and all of that stuff, how did you first learn about your guide team? Was it through the mediumship circles, or...?
Yes, and also with Angelic Reiki, because we go through this processes, and I really love Angelic Reiki, and I'm grateful for you to bring that to me, because
Are you
in the
teaching
lovely
it as
way.
well?
Yes, I do.
Amazing, Karen.
Because it's not just healing, is it?
No,
it's
it's so much
transformational.
more.
I've done stands where there was a lady, and she came for a reading, and I said, I'm really worried about your daughter, and she said yes. So I said, do you mind if I send her healing? She said, no, fine. And what happened the next day, because I was so busy and I was still working until nearly midnight, and back the next day I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't do it, I feel really bad. But the angel, because I gave
the
intention,
yeah.
the angel went straight in there and sorted the problem out for.
Yeah. I've had that before, and it's like, oh God, I was meant to send healing, and I've got friends that are like, oh, I felt it when you sent it. The minute you have an intention, it sends that ripple effect of love out. It's incredible.
Just amazing. It really is. Yeah.
So for you, you had a massive shift after the Angelic Reiki, didn't you? What's been happening? Because we haven't caught up since like, what was it, 2013 or something like that? And so I've been speaking to a lot of people, and there's a lot of people who are on an inner path, who are healers and therapists, and the people that are kind of really delving into their stuff. Since 2012, a lot of us have kind of had this major shift. People are having it as well, but maybe more subconsciously when they're not as kind of self-aware. But it's like we've walked in through a gateway, and I feel, I don't know about you, but I feel 2018 has been like a bit of a gateway out of that again. It's almost like we're all peeping our head above the parapet and going, oh, hello, oh, I remember this lovely life that I had and these lovely friends that I had, and reconnecting with people.
Definitely.
And everyone I speak to has been on this not always light and fluffy journey.
No.
So for you, like, how did you find it?
There were times when I thought, oh my God. But it is faith and trust and belief, and know that you're never alone. I really feel that, and knowing that they would never give us a test which we can't come through.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the angels love us unconditionally.
Yeah.
You know, through the darkest times, they're always there for us. And people who don't believe in them, you know, they're guided by spiritual laws, and you have to ask 3 times. Everything is power 3, and it's to give them a chance. And why do the bad things happen? You know, life is as it is, and we don't learn lessons unless we go through that. But we have a choice before we start. So
Yeah. So coming back to your guide team, do you have like, I know how a guide team works. I just want to know, really, for our viewers, what sorts of light beings do you work with? Are there different layers of this? Do you have a guide for healing and a guide for psychic development? Are you working closely with each one, or do you just have a team? Or
I always say to them, you know what is needed. Yeah. And I always ask before anybody comes, please give me what's needed for that person. Yeah. I mean, I've got guides for mediumship. Yeah. And I've got certain guides that pop in and out for mediumship as well. Yeah. And with Angelic Reiki, you know, the amazing beings that we work with, and I shouldn't just say angels because of greatest respect there, but we work with higher beings, and everything's of love and light. People think, oh, it's weird, and we get a lot of bad press on the telly, and that's for sensationalism. But you know, it's just so amazing that they love us so much.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? It's sort of, I always think in this human everyday reality, we live in a real world of duality, of right and wrong, light and dark. And even in the fourth dimension, the spirit realm, it works on those same laws and principles. And then once you get kind of fifth dimension and above, it's sort of a transcendence. You understand that everything is unconditional love and that everything is a blessing. And I think that's why we're shifting from a 3D consciousness into a 5D consciousness, because we're coming into this divine mind. We're coming into this transcendence and understanding that, well, if something goes seemingly wrong in your life, most of the time it ends up being a blessing, and it puts you on the path you're meant to be on, or it's highlighting something that needs healing in you. It's like everything is a mirror, everyone is a mirror, and every person is connected, and we're realizing that we're all part of this oneness, that we can't look at what's happening on the other side of the planet anymore and go, oh, nothing to do with me, because it is affecting us directly.
Yes, definitely. We're all one.
It's just amazing. So in terms of your work, what services do you offer? Because you've done a lot of training, haven't you? What have you studied now? Tell us the list.
Right, okay, so psychic development, mediumship, if ever you want a tuning fork, voice and tuning fork, actually channel angel voice with a tuning fork. And people say, oh, tuning forks, but you try it.
I love it,
It's amazing. They come through the voice.
We're doing a bit of similar stuff, you and I think. The channel voice stuff is incredible.
And then I've got space clearing, that as well. Something else as well. I'm doing so much going on.
Do you do readings still as well? So you still do the mediumship and the readings?
The readings.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The healings, the Angelic Reiki, I teach that. And of course the 5 sequences awakening, I will be teaching that
this
soon.
is interesting. So tell me about this system, 5 sequences awakening. I hadn't heard of it before. So who developed this?
A lady called Mina Guttridge, she's a nurse. And I met her and she cured my fear of heights with this system. So I'm really passionate about it.
Wow.
It's good for stress, bullying, anti-bullying, and trauma. It's taken on the basis of the chakra system, numerology, aurosoma, and drawing therapy. And what it is, you have the cards, which with children, it really helps them as well. I do find a lot of people who are very busy in their lives and they don't have time to bring the children, or they don't have the budget for the children. So we will be doing days all over the country where people can come, and it's not very much at all. We're also going to be setting up in local areas a free evening where people can bring their children or come themselves, and it will be free.
Because it's a set process, isn't it, that you go through? And so people can just come and learn those protocols for themselves. And
definitely.
Wow.
It is amazing. It is amazing. And also, if a child comes for a treatment or what have you, they can go away with the tools to be able to help themselves afterwards.
That's incredible.
Which is great.
It's so important, I think, that we empower the kids, because it all starts there, doesn't it? We know that between sort of conception and the age of about 7, they're real sponges, and they really do soak up their environment, especially with all these really sensitive kids coming through now. It's necessary to have systems in place that support them.
They are very, very sensitive, and they need basic grounding, protection and cleansing. And my guide did give me a 3-stage sequence, and not this year but last year I was going around all around the country doing talks to actually help people, and non-believers even. So just try it. It's 3 seconds in the morning, 3 seconds at night. Do it when you brush your teeth, And they kept coming back saying, oh, this really helped, this really helped. And it was a very quick grounding, protection and cleansing in 3 seconds in the morning, 3 seconds at night. So if you can help, then it gets them more interested in what we're doing. We come from a good place, and that's the thing. So as long as you come from a good intention, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It so is. So what do you know of your kind of origins? You're a starseed, I'm guessing.
To be quite honest, I haven't gone too much into me. Since I've been called, I'm just everywhere.
But you're able to see it for others, aren't you?
Yes.
So so there's obviously a part of your soul that understands that world and that terminology and those kind of what do we call it? Those qualities of light that are coming through on the planet.
Definitely.
At the moment, there's a lot of kind of star children, star seeds waking up and going, whoa, I don't think I come from here. But you know, it's.
And one mother did actually say, because I said, I'm getting this feeling where one eye's here and the other one's looking up, and she said he does do that a lot.
Yeah.
And the chances are that he comes from Sirius. There is Sirius A and Sirius B, and that is a dying planet. And they do get quite aggressive, these children, because they still feel part connected, and they can't ground the energy, but also they feel like part of them. But it is quite a harsh planet, because I've meditated for that and thought, I don't want to go back there really. So that is one of the harsher ones.
That's interesting, yeah. To me, when I tune into celestial energies or galactic energies, there's many different spectrums and many different dimensions. So we do have, to my knowledge, we do have ascended light beings from these places. So when they come through as the light being, they're not kind of on that physical planet anymore. They're coming from a higher perspective. So if you, just for our viewers as well, if you want to connect with guardians and guides from any of those places, like the Pleiades or Sirius, or there's the Golden Council of Orion, ask to connect to the Christed energy, the Christed ascended beings from that place, because you can just tune into, you know, Joe Bloggs walking down the street from the Pleiades. You know, like we want to make sure, this is in my interpretation, that we go to a higher level light being, and not just any old, you know, being or dimension. You know, we want to go to the higher place for higher guidance, and you can ask to connect with the highest guidance for you as well, because there's a lot in my experience with the star beings. We're multidimensional in our consciousness, and so are they. So you can connect with a 3D alien, or you can connect with a 7th, 8th, 9th, 12th, 13th dimension consciousness, and you're going to get higher guidance from the higher level beings. So is that your experience as well? Or?
Yeah, I just feel that because that planet is a dying planet, they're almost like homesick. It's like, and we need to ground that energy for them here.
It's
so
like his memory of it is what's going on there. Yeah.
So it's trying
That's
to
incredible.
Make them feel
and you get to see that place at that time that's held in his database, his memory.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow. And when you have someone like that, what do you do for a star child that's feeling a bit out of their depth? How do you help them heal from that? How do you help them?
Well, there is healing that you can give them, but also you can bring the energy down into a crystal.
Oh, lovely.
So they can hold that, and it sort of anchors them down.
Ground it
Otherwise, it's almost like a Wi-Fi signal going out. I'm trying to connect home.
Yeah.
And so trying to hold this life and do that, they're going to be out of balance.
Yeah.
So it's grounded that down.
We're doing so much synchronicity going on here. It's incredible. I do a lot of work with them as well. A lot of them come through with the belief that they're not human. And so I go, well, let's just change that belief, and we change it to I am a divine human. So if you think that you don't feel like you're human, just ask your higher self to give you the belief on a subconscious level that you are a human, but you are divine at the same time. And that keeps you in your multidimensional consciousness and keeps you feeling at home here, like you're welcome here, you belong here, you're human, you're not... A lot of people have this feeling, I want to go home, but it's like, well, where is home? And some of them don't know. Or some of them just feel really out of their depth, or like they don't belong. Like I know you and I had that experience growing up, probably. Very, who am I? Why don't I fit in? What's going on? Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And what about in terms of people coming in and booking your services? How can they find you?
Well, at the moment, I'm under the professional alternative, which is very old when I first started. So I thought it's an umbrella that I can constantly grow. So I will be looking at doing a new website, because there's lots on there that needs to be put on.
Well, you can give us. We'll put all the links below so people can contact you, and then when you update it, I'll put links to the new one, and we'll make sure that all the information is there. Are you on Instagram and Facebook and?
On Facebook, Instagram.
And are you just Karen Baker on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, so Karen Baker on Facebook. And what's coming up for you in the future, honey? What would you like to do next?
Well, everybody keeps telling me I'm going to start my own healing system at some point. And I do a psychic art I forgot to say that. We do workshops. I have to tell you this is amazing. I had one lady, she brought her children, and we do 3 on canvas art. And it started off, he did some pictures and he thought, I can't paint. I don't understand how I did that. And the second one was better. And the third one, he was going through low self-confidence. And what happened, we put it in the love vibration, the golden vibration, and the heart energy of the pink ray. And I gave him the third, and he started putting all pretty colours, and then all of a sudden his face changed.
Wow.
And he went bang, like that. Bang, bang, bang,
Channel
bang,
painting.
bang. It went all blues and greens. He put stars and stripes and everything, and they gave me a year. And I said to his mum, but he went out strong. He went out strong. He went back to a time where he felt really strong in his energy, and he carried that energy with him.
Wow.
And his mum said, I said to his mum, I gave her a year, and she says he's obsessed with that year. He's looking up everything in that year online, everything about that year he's obsessed with. And I thought, that's really interesting.
How old was this kid?
I think he was 10.
That's incredible, isn't
yeah.
it? They're coming through, so many of them are coming through with past life memory now. Yeah. I've seen quite a few children, like little high vibration souls coming in, and it's like they come in with a lot of their previous memories still intact, and then they're saying to their parents, like, I had a little 6-year-old who was convinced that she was going to die at the age of 7. Convinced she wouldn't go near. She was terrified of drinking dirty water, and it turned out that she had a previous lifetime in Africa, and she was a little boy, and she died of dysentery at the age of 7 from drinking dirty water. And when she came to me for the session, we were able to delve in and change that belief system and change the programming and clear it for her. And she's thriving. But they've really come to teach us, because these kids are coming in already awakened. Yeah. And when we've had to go through like 4 or 5 evolutionary cycles in one lifetime, they're coming in going, no, it's not like this, it should be like this. And our school system isn't going to be able to contain these kids anymore. No. And as you say, the autistic kids are particularly gifted, and they come in with certain things that they're here to teach us, and they just won't have it the way they're breaking the system apart. It's phenomenal to see. Really, really interesting what's going on.
I had one young girl, and she remembers all her past lives. Wow. She actually says to her mum, "You're not my mum," because she remembers more.
Yeah. Where's
I must admit, I'd be devastated if my son said that to me. However, it's amazing, isn't it?
Well, I was my mother's mother in a few previous lifetimes, and we locked horns when I was younger quite a bit, because I was like, why are you telling me what to do? You don't have any jurisdiction here. And and then I've unlocked a few of those lifetimes where she was actually my daughter, or she was my child. And I'm like, yeah, she's now my mother, so that authority was never going to stick. It's quite hilarious. So funny. Well, now it's reverted back, and she rings me for advice. It goes both ways. She's pretty in tune herself. She's pretty intuitive. She's amazing. Wow. So, and also, like, do you offer a free healing clinic, were you saying to me?
Yeah, for the 5 Sequences Awakening, we're starting up a charitable once a month for the 5 Sequences Awakening, where people can come, and it starts up a community of people, which is going to be really nice.
And where are you running that from?
I'm running that in Romsey, but Rena is asking other tutors to do the free evening around the country. So my aim personally, I think you're always drawn to the vibration you are, and wherever I am, because I do travel with my work, and I'm happy to do that. That I might be able to get people with groups together so they can set their own group. With Skype, you can do so much.
You can do anything now, and Zoom and everything.
So.
Going global, Karen. I think that's great.
It's amazing.
Because this 5 Sequences Awakening, can you do take people through the process online as well?
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
So you can do Skype sessions and all of that. That's really great, because it sounds like it's a very simple process that really helps people. Yes. So that's brilliant. And so for the free clinic, can anyone come along to that?
Yes.
Yeah. You just come along, volunteer to have some healing, and wow. And they can find all that through your website as well. Oh, brilliant. That's really good.
Amazing.
And is there a central 5 Sequences Awakening website where other people can find someone in their local area that promotes the teachers?
I will have a word with Rena just to make sure, because if there isn't one, then I will mention it to her, so it'd be a good way to do
because it sounds like it's a fairly new system, isn't it? And
it is. It's really good. I say something cured my fear of heights. I used to be so bad. I used to be ringing, shaking, and I was just in a terrible state. So when people say, oh, you're scared of heights, and people go, yeah, I think I really empathise with those people. I just want to throw them. It's awful, but to actually cure that, then I know it does what it says on the tin. So amazing.
There's so many people with new systems coming through, and people channeling their own techniques, and so many that are very simple but very grounding and expanding at the same time. I find it sounds kind of similar to my precious wisdom, because there's stages in that. It's like symbols and mudra and a set sequence, but it's like an attunement. Very grounding, very expansive, but practical at the same time. So lots of people bringing through incredible stuff. It's all about opening our consciousness, I think, and letting us know that there's no information that isn't accessible to us. Once you tap into that morphogenic field or the Akasha, it's like, oh wow, I can access my past lives, I can access the future, I can receive messages, we can empower ourselves and heal ourselves. I think that's the way forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I did the Akashic records as well. I forgot to say that. Sometimes I bring it down into my normal readings. Sometimes if there is a healing issue that, but normally that comes anyway. It's quite organic now, as you know. You've got your army.
You don't know what you're drawing on. You're kind of trained in all these modalities, but then you'll have your own way of working anyway, and it always ends up being really bespoke for the person. I think we're so similar here. It's like, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I'm just doing it, or I'm showing them how to do it, and it's like I wouldn't call it any one technique. It's just connecting in. You get shown what the root cause of the issue is, and then you can, I'm doing these psychic surgeries now, which I never got trained in, but it's all part of precious wisdom just awoken in me. And now it's like, oh, I just pull that out. Let's just pull that out. It doesn't need to be there anymore. Trapped emotions, trapped energies, all sorts of things that we can do, balancing the chakras and the meridians. And it's incredible to be able to see it. It's like looking into the etheric body and going, ooh, what's that? And there's no limit to what what we can do. It's fascinating. This is all part of the evolution of humanity. I think we're becoming a different species, really. Remembering who we are. Absolutely. So for our viewers, is there anything else you'd like to let them know, or you'd like to speak about, or?
I know that when I get off here, there'd be loads that I think I should have said this or I should have said that. But if I can be of service in any way, please contact me. But thank you for having me.
Amazing,
thanks,
I'm
so pleased to reconnect with you.
It's so wonderful to reconnect with you, honey. And just to say to anyone who is going through an awakening, it can be a difficult time, it can be quite a painful time, so don't feel like you have to do it on your own. You've got therapists like myself and Karen. Like Karen's here, she does free healing clinics. Amazing. Yay. What a lovely service to offer, honey. So do get in touch. So at the moment she is the professional alternative, or you can find Karen Baker on Facebook. She's on my Facebook as well. You can link through, and I'll share all the links below here so that you guys can get in touch with her. Some of this stuff sounds fascinating. I'm gonna have to book in with you. Anyway, just to say thank you so much, my darling, for speaking to me today, and thank you all for watching the Alexandra Wenman Show.
Thank you.
Thank you.